Welcome to the AJ Asper Show, a show about my favorite things. My name is AJ and my special guest for this episode is Kevin Owens. I hope you like the show!
What was the first wrestling match you ever watched?
First wrestling match I ever watched was the British Bulldog and Lex Luger against the Blue Brothers from WrestleMania 11. I might have seen wrestling matches before that, but I was too young to remember. But that's the first one I remember watching with my dad. And by the end of that show, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler.
What advice would you give a new wrestler?
Well, if you're a wrestler that's just starting and trying to get your name, out there and have people talk about you, I think the best advice that I ever got was Steve Austin. I met him and he told me that I should always run my mouth, meaning I have to talk a lot and make sure that people hear me, and that's how you create buzz. So I started doing that after he told me that, and it worked out pretty good for me. So I guess I would give them the same advice.
What is your favorite zoo that you have visited?
I visited quite a few. I think my favorite one is a little zoo near Toronto in Canada. It's actually in a little city called Orono, and it's called Jungle Cat World. And it's mostly tigers and wolves and hyenas, and I think there's a lion or two. Actually, I know there's lions because I played with little baby when we went last time. And it's owned by two people from Germany that came to Canada many years ago and started just taking care of animals in their house. So when the babies are born, they live with them in the house. So they had little lion cubs living with them in their house for a while until they get too big, and then they're put in their enclosure and stuff. So it's a pretty cool zoo.
That seems that would be very fun to go to. I really want to go there.
Yeah, you should try if you ever get a chance. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Who is a legend you wish you could have a match with?
So that's another question that there's a lot of answers to, but I think the one, if I had to pick just one, as hard as it is, it would be Shawn Michaels. Because when I watched that show that I talked to you about earlier, where I saw the first match with the British Bulldog in it, later on that show, Shawn Michaels was wrestling. And after seeing Shawn Michaels, I was 11 years old when I saw that match, that show. And when I saw Shawn Michaels' match, I decided then that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a wrestler because of Shawn Michaels. So if I could wrestle him, that would be a real dream come true.
Who do you think would have won a match between you and Harley Race?
I got to give the nod to Harley Race because, he's a legend and he was the king. And I as tough as I consider myself, I don't think I could ever claim to be as tough as Harley Race.
What is something about you that would surprise people?
I don't know how much would surprise people because I'm pretty open about the kind of person I am. And, when I put things on Twitter about my family a lot, and the person you see on television is pretty close to who I am in real life. I guess something that people might not know is that my wife and I are obsessed with horror movies. Every night, pretty much, we watch, scary movies, and that's really what we love the most. We hardly ever watch anything else. So I guess that would be one thing, yeah.
Who are your inspirations in pro wrestling?
So I had a lot of them. My first one would have to be Shawn Michaels, because when I saw him wrestle that day, like I said, I knew I wanted to become a wrestler. Because I was pretty small at my age when I was 11 for that age. And Shawn Michaels was the smallest wrestler in WWE at the time, but he was the best one. So I thought if he can do it, maybe I can. And then after that, I saw guys like Steve Austin. Obviously, was a huge influence. He was my favorite wrestler for a long time. And then Steve Corino from ECW. When I started watching other wrestling other than WWE, I really loved him a lot, and he became a mentor of mine and a good friend of mine later on. I also really loved Rhino. And later on, when I started wrestling on the independent circuit before I went to WWE, I wrestled someone called Super Dragon, and he was really instrumental and important in my career. And I think I'd also have to say Sami Zayn, just because we were together, like our careers got kind of matched to each other for a very long time when we were pretty young, and we're still, in a lot of ways linked to one another. And without him, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I did in wrestling. So all those people.
What are your favorite pizza toppings?
Mushrooms for sure, and I always enjoy having green peppers on there. Anything else I don't really love. I'll try some other ones here and there, but mushrooms and peppers are the top ones.
For me, it's pineapple and pepperoni. Whenever those two mix, I just feel like they're really good.
I just had pineapple on a pizza for the first time just a few months ago, actually. I've never tried it. It's not too bad.
I think you're the first person I've interviewed that said you didn't hate pineapple on pizza.
I know, it's a very controversial topic. I didn't love it, but I don't hate it either. So it's a start, I guess.
What is the proudest moment of your career so far?
That's another really good question. I think it's between, it's between my first NXT match against CJ Parker and winning the Universal Championship. But I think the NXT match might be a little bit more, special because it was my first match in WWE. It was against a really good friend, and it was just such a special moment that I'll always remember, to actually get to be in WWE. And it was my first time, even though, I had signed my contract in the Performance Center for a few months. Having that first match was really something,
What is your all-time favorite movie?
Movie? Yeah. You ask a lot of really good questions, buddy. I have a few, but if I have to pick just one, I think I have to say The Green Mile with Tom Hanks. I really love that one. And whenever it's on, I can't help but watch it,
Your favorite Disney movie?
Disney movie.
It's just an add-on.
I watch a lot of them because my kids and my wife love Disney. I guess Toy Story 3 is probably it, and I think a lot of people will answer the same. Otherwise, I love the Monsters Inc. ones, so it would be one of those.
Mine has to be either Coco or The Lion King or WALL-E. Those are my top three.
I never saw WALL-E, believe it or not, but I see The Lion King pretty much every day because my daughter watches it all the time. And Coco, I've heard really good stuff about, but I never saw it too. I'm going to have to try to catch up on you and watch those.
Who are some of the best discovered talent in wrestling?
Some of the best younger talent? Is that what you asked?
Undiscovered talent.
Oh, undiscovered. Okay. So it's hard for me to say because I haven't been keeping track of the independent wrestling that much lately and stuff like that. But there's a lot of people from where I come from in Quebec that are really good. And the two that would come to mind right now are Mathieu Saint-Jacques and Thomas Dubois. They're two guys from Quebec. They're two French Canadians, and they're really good. And I used to really enjoy wrestling them. and I'm sure they've only gotten better since then. So I think those are two guys that people really like to see if they had the chance to get to know them.
What is the worst prank anyone has ever played on you?
Let's see. You know, I really haven't gotten pranked too much, but lately, my kids, especially my son, has taken to popping out of nowhere and scaring. He's been doing it for the last week or so, I guess, as a way of entertaining himself while we're stuck in the house here. And he's getting me almost every time. And sometimes it doesn't seem like he's even trying, and he scares me really good. So he's probably the one who could get that claim for the best prank.
Adding on to that question, who threw the pie at you on the 4th of July party?
Well, I get asked that question all the time. And I guess the only answer I can give people is that in the end, even if it wasn't him who physically did it, the one who ultimately threw the pie at me is Vince McMahon. Because, he's the one who decided that pie was going to hit me in the face. And he wasn't there physically to do it, but he's the one who made it happen. So that would be the answer.
Would you rather time travel to the past or to the future?
I think the past. Because if you can time travel to the past, you can, I could maybe spend time with people I've lost, pets that I've lost, and just enjoy those people, and those experiences again. The future, or eventually, the past, once it's gone, it's you can't get it back. So I would travel to the past.
That's the end. Thanks for the interview.
All right, thanks for having me. Take care, buddy.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the AJ Asper Show. I'd like to thank Kevin Owens for being my special guest. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.